Hello everyone. Quick aside from editing me, I know it has been several hot minutes since I've uploaded a Veilguard video, in part because it turned out I somehow deleted three recording files, one of which was the final Solas memory that I have access to currently, the other of which is an interaction with a character that's really, really important and that I don't want to spoil for just yet. And the other one is the beginning of a major battle that happens. So those were all three really important files that I tried to find. One of them was corrupted, and I tried several different methods to get it back. I could only get like 10 minutes of footage back, but it did help in that it helped me find a timestamp for where I needed to go to re-record everything properly. And I usually save after every recording session or like every recording episode, so it's generally not too hard for me to go back. I was able to go back and I had to re-record like just over 2 hours worth of footage, I think. For not in what is it, like tiny things, they were pretty large important plot things. So what ended up happening is as has happened in the past before, I re-recorded the footage, but I still had the original webcam and footage and the original commentary. So I just had to re-record while listening to myself, which means that there were some mistakes. Usually, even if a file's corrupted, I can at least follow along a bit and see what choices I'm picking in conversations. Luckily, as you all know, I talk a lot. So I was able to extrapolate, I guess, from my own words and describing the options on the screen. And what I was picking, and mostly pick, as far as I can tell, the correct answers. There is at least one notable exception to that, if not two, where I ended up picking a different option, but it was in the middle of a conversation, and I didn't want to go back and re-record a third time. You know what I mean? Like, I was just trying to get it done. I'm finally back at my new place, not on my family's for the holidays anymore, where it was hard to find time to do anything. So I finally sat down and just did it all, and got it all done. And so there's a couple exceptions, and because it's like a new footage that I'm recording with original commentary and webcam, I had to kind of splice it together to make the timing fit right. So you'll see some odd gaps where like the webcam disappears for a little bit and then it comes back, or like maybe the footage skips a little bit because I'm like pulling it back to try to line up with the webcam, stuff like that. So just be aware of that. This one, the next one, and at least 47, 48 will have this issue, potentially some of 49, but probably not. I think I'm going to be able to condense it all into 2 episodes. But yeah, I'm finally back recording Veilguard. Hopefully going to finish it this upcoming week or so, but I hope you're all still enjoying it. I know it's been a long time. If you're still here, I really do appreciate it. There's been a lot going on, but if you're still enjoying this, I'm still enjoying it, and I can't thank you enough. So now with all of that, hopefully you're still with me, and we will hop back in to the Frankenstein video. Hello everybody, and welcome back to Dragon Age Veilguard, where we have the most tragic of lores waiting for us, I believe, but I do really want to go check out here really fast and check and see what people are saying. At least the people who are paired up. Oh, and heart. Oh no. Okay, let's check with Harding. Hopefully I saved, and hopefully she just has something she wants to say about the Titans. Oh, yeah. She Angie.
Hey, Harding.
Hey.
Oh, Rook, hi. Is there something you need?
Thought you might want someone to talk to.
Oh, Rook. That's sweet. I'm fine. Really.
Really? Okay. Well, we're all here if you...
Never mind. I can't lie. I feel awful.
It's Solas' memory, isn't it?
They stole Titan blood to walk the world like humans. And when the Titans didn't like that, they just took their spirits. Should I be angry or sad? Why aren't I angrier? It's a lot to handle.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's not... There's no point in being like, I'm so sorry. Like, I mean, it's like, I'm sorry, yes, like, that happened. But it's like, you as an individual cannot apologize for the entirety of your entire race, you know what I mean? And like you're the way the elves are now did not make that choice, right? It's the older elves that made that choice, or the spirits at this point that made that choice, right? And
there's really no right way to feel. You've been through a lot.
You're right.
Yeah, I think
maybe I just need time and a snack. It's strange. I don't hate Solas for this, even though a part of me thinks I should. I don't even want revenge.
Really?
Revenge won't bring the Titans back. It can't erase what happened.
Wow, she's processed a lot.
And the Inquisitor thinks Solas can be saved.
Okay.
And I want to try.
What?
But
You do?
I just want to talk. As equals.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
I wonder if he's even capable. Solas was always distant. Guess it's hard to react when a magic rock's talking at you.
Okay.
Anyway, thanks for checking on me.
She's the most...
I'll be alright.
I know. You're Lace Harding, child of Titans. You can handle anything.
We haven't even confirmed,
shut
though,
up.
that, like, how the dwarves exactly are related to the Titans, right? Like whether or not it was, like, worker bees, or if it was, like, you know, autonomous individuals or whatever. Or if the Titans made the dwarves. And I guess maybe it does make sense, right? That the Maker is the one who made humans. Whatever deity made humans is called the Maker, even though some of his actions have been attributed to, like, some of the things that are attributed to him were actually Solas, like the creation of the veil. Interesting. Well then, I mean, does people like Solas have an insight onto who this Maker person is, right? Like, potentially, like, that made spirits and then made humans, and then the elves were like, screw that, and made themselves. Like, you know what I mean? Like, wild. I mean, like, but yeah. Also, no, Harding is like the most whiplashy character to me. Like, I can't get a handle on her. Somebody said in the comments too, I saw this, where it was like, you know, Lace Harding was always this very, like, you know, solid, like, dependable, like, did not get flustered very often, and seeing her kind of whiplash back and forth between being flustered and, like, I'm fine, and then I'm not fine, and, you know, like, that's normal, fairly normal behavior, but, like Harding's been through a lot, and there's a reason she was, like, made the top scout or whatever, you know. It's because she was pretty unflappable. So yeah, like Sebby said, it's just like, has that one always been there with like that little bit rotating in the back? Maybe. But yeah, I mean, it is a lot to take in, but again, it's like the Dalish have been dealing with this apparently, like, this whole time. Like, elves have been dealing with it this whole time, that, like, their whole religion's crumbling. And it's about freaking time that Andrastianism got a bit of a blow. Sorry, I think there was something else that she said, I think, that I was just like, and now I can't remember what it is. But I'm glad I popped out to talk with her, because that is a lot. Like, it's fair. Like, you'd want to talk about it, you know?
It's always warm in here, even when the fireplace is unlit.
You've sensed it, then?
If the lighthouse's magic keeps the dining room cozy, I won't complain. But does it do it for anyone? Or just us?
Ooh, like just the mages? Or for anyone? Oh, yeah, the not wanting revenge thing. I don't know. I assume that would have changed if, like, the Inquisitor was like, yeah, screw Solas, you know? But, like, that's the thing, is, like, just in here, she was like, I want him to respond, you know? Or, like, I want to get answers from him. And, like, that's not necessarily revenge. But it's like, she was pretty aggressive in here, and then she's like, actually, I'm just a sweetheart, and I don't want to get revenge because the Inquisitor thinks he can be saved. I'm like, oh. So, like, not only did your Chantry faith get undermined, but your new revelation of, like, your, like, dwarven roots sort of have been revealed, and, like the desecration, essentially, of potentially your creators has been revealed, and you're like, it's okay, I'm sure he's just misunderstood, you know, or something, you know what I mean? Like, it feels a little odd. Like, I feel like she could Quick interjection here. Because of the timing of the reload, this chest we will look at later, because in the original recordings it didn't show up until a later date, until December 4th, I believe, for Dragon Age Day. So if you know what we got on Dragon Age Day, you'll know what's in this chest. But at the time, on the original recording, it wasn't there. I just saw it again during the re-record and poked it and was like, oh no, so we'll see that later. Be like, I have complicated feelings, and like, I want to talk to him about this, and she does. She wants to talk to him as equals. But like, still, I was like, that's, again, a little whiplashy for me. Oh, workout buddies.
Hey, Davrin. We gotta talk about Solas' magic memory thing.
Why?
What? Why?
Why didn't you tell me you were a spirit?
Because I'm not.
I thought we were friends.
I'm not a spirit, Tosh.
Is that because people might think you're a demon? Because I'm from Ravane. We're okay with spirits.
But apparently not with listening. I am not a spirit.
Hey, you don't have to be ashamed of who you are.
Never said I was. But thank you.
We established out there that the elves, the current elves, are not spirits. So that feels a little immature, honestly. Like, I have been thinking Tosh feels a little young. Maybe a little inexperienced with the world. But, like, that's just straight up not listening. You know what I mean? Like, it's like we already said, oh no, like, it's totally different now. Like, we are the descendants of those who gained mortal bodies. But, like, at this point, you're a mortal body, you know what I mean? Like, in your blood maybe runs a little thicker with lyrium or magic or whatever, but like, the elves can't just, like, we would have noticed by now, you know what I mean? Like, the elves just, like, I don't know, like, proliferating in the Fade, and magic's been dying out of their blood anyway, honestly. At least according to the Dalish clans, they've had less and less people born with magic. So, like, yeah, anyway. That felt a little immature, I'm not gonna lie. It made sense for Tosh, but like, it made it feel a little immature. These are so... Oh, and this is like the orb that was in Inquisition. I think this is supposed to be a representation of that. And so when it broke, oh my gosh. Yeah, that must have been terrible for him. Anyway, I'm not emotionally ready for this. I'm not. I just gotta click the button and hope the recording is working. Yep, I saw.
I knew that you would find me soon enough. You need the power of a god. The strength that I alone still carry.
End of Inquisition!
The blighted Evanuris will soon break free from their prison. I must make a stronger one that can contain them.
While the prison is important, it is not the only goal you seek.
Why should I not tear down the veil and bring back immortality to all the elven people? They deserve it.
The elven people of today do not deserve to see the world they love be torn apart to salve your conscience.
I must fix what I have broken. I am sorry.
As am I, old friend.
Okay.
Solas killed Mythal? After all that? Is this another memory from a different time?
No. He wore that same outfit in the Inquisition.
Oh, okay.
We knew Solas woke up in this world without most of his power. Now we know how he got it back.
By killing the only other god around and stealing her power.
All that epic magic and godly power. In the end, it comes down to love and murder. Same as always.
It was complicated, yeah. This is a bit of a tragedy, right? He needs to be right? Okay, so they did rewrite a little bit of the end of Inquisition, because the end of Inquisition has Solas meeting up with... That was Mythal in the guise of Flemeth, who was Morrigon's mother, right? And, she was a lot kinder at the end of Inquisition. She was a lot more... Like, the remnant of Mythal was inhabiting Flemeth. And, she seemed to accept her death in that one. Like, she, like, held his face and, like, you know, was like my old friend, you know, like, whereas in this one, she says, she really cuts to the heart of the matter, right? Where it's like, again, this is just like the Elven people deserve this, and it's like, you can't undo what you did. You know what I mean? Like, you, and I think she brings up a good point, right? They don't deserve to have the current world they know and love, you know, or like the world that they inhabit, that they have torn apart by your conscience. I was like, oh, man, like he's like, oh yeah, things will be better. I'm like, yeah, after some of them die, after bunches die, you know what I mean? Like, potentially. I kind of want to be like, yeah, he needs to, and that's what he's shown us, right? Is that he needs to be right all the time. But she's been pretty, right, like Stone. She's been pretty like understanding of his motivations. We'll see. I think some frustration is valid, because I think this really is kind of the crux of it. He doesn't, like, as much as he loves having a guilt complex, he also he needs to be right. And, like, I think that's the only way to, like, assuage his guilt in some small way, is that any decision he makes, like, he needs to be the right one, because they keep being the wrong one. But we'll see this as, if it's too aggressive, I might reload.
All these memories are about Solas being sad that he was right and nobody else could see it. He was right about how becoming elves would lead to war with the Titans, but Mythal wouldn't listen.
He was right that using the dagger on the Titans was evil.
Okay.
But Mythal wouldn't listen.
He was so proud when he imprisoned the other gods. Finally, he got to prove that he was right and they were wrong.
Then he wakes up in our time.
Yeah.
Finds out he was wrong. The elves have nothing. The Blight's a constant threat.
And Mythal's alive, somehow. But she still won't listen.
But this time he'll show her, no matter what it takes.
So, how does everything we know help us now?
He's being honest about fighting the Blight. Whatever happens, he won't risk letting it back out into the world.
Agreed. But he has a plan to escape that prison, and not one we'll like.
He turned on Mythal, the one person he was actually loyal to. There's no way he won't turn on us.
He's a spirit, or was once. He might be able to possess someone, affect minds, all the things spirits do.
He created the veil. His very nature is tied to it. That will be a source of strength, but also a potential weakness.
Mythal has him all messed up. Anything about her or Elgernon is gonna make him angry. Sloppy.
Solas thinks he knows what's best for everyone. Anything he does, he'll do while telling himself he's the hero.
Like, it's like, stop, he's dead. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's really going to town on him, tearing him to pieces. He's wrong, but not evil. He's smart, but we don't know him that well, I think. Like, these memories, and I wonder if he knows that we are going to access these because we're here. You know what I mean? Like, he has to know that we will figure something out. Let's try.
The bad news is that the god of lies and trickery is almost definitely preparing to betray us. The good news is that we've gone through his dirty laundry.
So, we know his motivations. You think we can set a trap of our own?
That's the hope.
Yeah. Interesting, okay.
You have witnessed the Protector's tale, Dweller. Almost to its end.
Almost? How can there be more?
When the mighty fall, their echoes cross the ages. An audience is warranted. Speak with your visitor. She awaits you in the crossroads.
Is it Mythal? Is it Mythal? Or is it the Inquisitor? Oh my god, is it Mythal? Because the voice of Flemeth there, that was Mythal's voice, not Flemeth's. Flemeth's voice was different, and I was kind of sad to not hear it. I really loved her voice actress. But, yeah, I'm kind of tempted to see if everybody would respond a little differently if I had chosen the sadder option. But, like, truly, it's like he... I I almost don't like that either, because I don't think it's necessarily that he needs to be right. It's that he was right, and then like nobody listened, and that was really frustrating, you know. And that was, we kind of expressed that, right? And then he finally got to lock them all away. I might honestly, I might see. I'm just curious what the other options would potentially be. Alright, let's try this. I do think it's funny that she's like, they're like, is this an older memory? It's like, no, Solas wore that outfit in Inquisition. I'm like, okay. Is that how we're going to differentiate it? Also, he's bald in this one, and he's not bald in the other ones, so. But, yeah, to be fair, nobody knew that Solas met with Mythal. Like, I don't think anybody's known that. It's not public knowledge, you know? But we saw it at the end, because we're the players.
Every big mistake Solas made is tied to Mythal.
Interesting.
He sacrificed his life as a spirit to join her.
He sacrificed his morals when he created the dagger to stop the Titans.
When the other gods struck her down, he destroyed the Elven Empire to avenge her.
Then he wakes up in this world, where everything's gone but his mistakes. And there she is, alive.
And after all he's done, she sides against him again.
All these mistakes are his fault. And hers too. If she won't help him fix the world, of course he has to kill her.
So, how does everything we know help us now?
He's being honest about fighting the Blight. Whatever happens, he won't risk letting it back out into the world.
Agreed. But he has a plan to escape that prison, and not one we'll like.
He turned on Mythal, the one person he was actually loyal to. There's no way he won't turn on us.
He's a spirit, or was once. He might be able to possess someone, affect minds, all the things spirits do.
He created the Veil. His very nature is tied to it. That will be a source of strength, but also a potential weakness.
Mythal has him all messed up. Anything about her or Elgernon is gonna make him angry. Sloppy.
Solas thinks he knows what's best for everyone. Anything he does, he'll do while telling himself he's the hero.
So that was, I think we actually got more approval for that one. I'm actually maybe going to pause the recording, and I'm going to go look over both of those and see what I think. Which one I prefer, honestly. What also is interesting, this was going to be a death of Mythal, right? I was expecting it to be the first death of Mythal, not the final death. So I'm thinking that's the memory that we're going to potentially go see right now. Meet Morrigon in the crowd. Okay, fine. It's Morrigon. Why would you spoil that for me? That was an option, but I was hoping for the Inquisitor or for Flemeth, or for Mythal Flemeth. Although, I say that, but that's the whole thing that Morrigon was trying to avoid, was like the possession thing, potentially, that Flemeth was like passing on Mythal to like her daughters or whatever. There was like a whole thing there that was never super made clear, but she was sending something out into the Alluvion before Solas killed her. And it wasn't like, again, it was very like calm, and like they were both sad, and like she just kind of like fainted in his arms as he took Mythal into him. Flemeth died. But before that, she was able to send something out, it looked like, to Morrigon, probably, because she is her daughter. So we might be able to speak with a fragment of Mythal, and I'm going to cry if that's the case, but I am going to watch my video really quick and see what I think of either option. Okay, so I have gone back and reviewed the video and looked at the choices, and honestly, I like the way people break him down in the more aggressive response, but I don't like my character necessarily, like, well, she makes a good point, right, that it's like, it's all about him being sad that nobody listened to him, but like, again, I think trying to boil him down is potentially doing him a disservice as a character, right? But I was just thinking, like, everyone's like, oh, it's all tied to Mythal, all his regrets are tied to Mythal, and I'm like, I mean, there's nothing in here about him liberating slaves, you know what I mean? He had like the righteous fury of someone who, like, that was a big part of him, was saving people. Like, Solas truly cares about people, you know what I mean? I don't know if I'm making sense, but like, I think we're not bringing into this apparently like his regret of what happened to the Elven people because of what he did, you know, despite it seeming like the only option at the time, because I think he would have come up with a different option if he could have, you know, but like, this was like, it seemed like the best option, and then it went wrong and had unintended consequences, you know? So, again, not saying that the stuff he did before all this, before the veil and everything, wasn't bad, you know, but like, or wasn't terrible in its own way, and that he's not at fault for it, like he is, but like, I think just being like, he's just mad that nobody listened to him and that he wasn't right. Although, to be fair, Mythal's like, I need you to advise me, and then like she proceeds to not listen to him for like the rest of forever, and I was like, why did you bring him over here if you're not gonna listen to him, you know what I mean? So that was interesting. But yeah, I think I'll go with the more like, it's a little too, maybe a little too squishy, a little too soft, like the tearful one, where it's like, it's all about Mythal, but like the other one was like all about him being like, I was trying to think, is he more full of like righteous indignation, or is he more full of regret? And I think he's more full of regret, not just over Mythal, but because of what happened to the people that he tried to save. He tried to save the spirits and the people, and then it didn't work, you know? And so, like, it did kind of, but like, then a new bad thing happened and he wasn't there to help them, you know? So, and Solas is always, like, in Inquisition, anytime you helped people, in the hinterlands specifically, like, if you helped, like, the average person, like, he approved. Like, he cares about people deeply, you know? But, like, yeah, so I'm gonna go with the more, like, regretful, mournful, tearful one, simply because that seemed to kind of be a little more in line, but I think they were not wrong to, like, because even though, like, everything they say after that still is similar to, like, the, you know, like, similar sentiments to the fist answer, you know? And again, kind of tears him down into little tiny pieces, but like with more understanding, which to me is, I think, important for this situation. Time to go check and see what anybody has to say. Gall, should I go meet Morrigon first? Yeah, I should. I should definitely. Regrets of the Dreadwolf. Yes, this quest is not done. I need to go finish this, but first I will go and see what the pairs of people at least have to say.
The Shadow Dragons were nice. May and the rest.
We have our moments.
They talked about gender stuff, and I didn't get all of it, but it helped. So, thanks.
Anytime.
Very cute, very good, very demure, very mindful.
Do you hail from Ferelden, Harding?
Born and raised near Redcliffe. Just a regular place. Nothing fancy, like where you're from.
Ferelden's a storied kingdom. Its heroes have shaped the path of our age.
That's the nicest thing anyone up here has said about Ferelden. Most people talk about how Ferelden's just dogs and mud.
Terrible. You mustn't pay them any mind.
Oh, he's so kind. What the heck? He's so nice. And like just so like, I don't know, doesn't dislike anybody, you know, or like, I don't know, doesn't like think less of anyone just for their differences. Like, I'm sure he has a flaw, but I've yet to find it. Yeah, I see you, Solas. Freaking turning on the light in my room. Oop. I need to go down this way. We need to go figure out more about your past before I talk to you. I think I need to bring the grown-ups for this one. What could have brought Nev? Well, that's 2 mages, though. Yeah. I don't know if they're gonna actually interact with Morrigon. It might just be like Harding shows up, and I'm like, oh, hello, you know? Morrigon? What secrets do you have for me? If the Inquisitor's here, I'm gonna cry.
Well met, Rook. How did you get here? I did tell you I had my ways through Illuvians when I introduced you to the Inquisitor, did I not?
Yes.
The Illuvians in general, yes, but not the Dreadwolf's
Oh,
crossroads.
good point, me.
I would think you have more pressing questions at the moment. Questions about Solas and Mythal.
How did you know?
Mythal.
The 2 gods have always been linked, have they not? First, when Mythal bade her companion spirit to abandon the Fade and take on mortal form. Then, when Solas spilled Mythal's mortal blood, that he might absorb her power as
Did
his
Mythal
own.
tell you?
Wait. How do you know exactly what we saw of Solas's past?
Think upon it, Rook. You saw for yourself in the Dread Wolf's memories. When Mythal stood against the gods' manipulations of the Blight, she was betrayed and struck down. Yet she survived and returned ages later to aid the Inquisition in its hour of need. How?
I mean, spirits is more my realm of expertise, so... I mean, but we haven't... Did we... I don't think we ascertained in the memories that she was betrayed. Unless, Solas, did he mention it? He might have mentioned it, yeah, when you killed Mythal. Yeah, but we didn't see the scene happen or hear it happening or anything. I'm gonna cry, this music.
If Mythal was originally a spirit, maybe that's how she survived her body's death.
Very good. Mythal was a spirit turned elven. And when her body was struck down, to spirit, she returned. Her essence sheltered in a willing mortal vessel. Over the centuries, she journeyed from host to host, slowly amassing her former power anew. Until once again, she was struck down, on this occasion, by Solas. He absorbed her power, but not her memory.
She did!
Then where did they... Wait. You?
As you say.
But, okay, so, Morrigon spent half of Origins, if not more than that, avoiding Mythal, Flemeth, her mother. When Morrigon found out that Flemeth, I'm gonna mess this up. When Morrigon found out that Flemeth was potentially using the bodies of her daughters to almost keep her youth, sort of, or to keep reincarnating, I don't know, she was transferring herself over to them, essentially, is what Morrigon was reading, was that she would take over the mortal body of her daughter, right? And in one of the comics, one of the another Witch of the Wilds, because apparently there's multiple, potentially, that, like in this canon, I don't know if that's actually canon or not, but it was in the comics, and they're like, it's a gift. What our mother has is a gift, and you have to accept it. And actually, Flemeth says that in Inquisition, when you get the dragon and everything, and like Morrigon is there, she's like, I would not have forced you to do anything, my daughter. She's like, this is a gift, and it was something Mythal only, I think it's something like Mythal only goes to those who accept her, or something, something like that. So it's like, it would never have been forced upon her, So yeah, when Flemeth was sending out bits of herself, it's what it seemed like, right? When she had her hand to the Illuvian, and like there was something pulsing through the Illuvian. Many of us thought that she was sending something to Morrigon. It seems like Solas merely got her power and does not have Mythal's memories. Because if you're a spirit, I guess you can separate yourself as you will. But okay. Mythal, who ruined everything. People made their choices, Let's see what this one says. It's like, and you're her, or are you yourself? Because Morrigon did not want this, and it was their actual like interactions in like the one interaction in Inquisition was really poignant, like really powerful. Honestly, like not powerful, but poignant, like subtle, small, but like. Their interactions have always been interesting, and it made me tear up, I'm pretty sure. Let's see.
So, you're the next host of Mythal?
Believe it or not.
So you accepted this. I didn't think she would.
What? That was like how Elganon and Gillinan can talk in your head, but...
'Twas Mythal you heard, her echoes. Yet I am not the goddess returned.
What are you, then?
I once feared Mythal would consume me were I to carry her, but 'twas not so. I remain free-willed and mortal. What I now possess is but a spark of Mythal, shadowed memories through which to sift for meaning. As to our admixture, I suspect you have questions.
Did she just... I suspect you have questions, me? Does she just Solas, I expect you have... Oh, I suspect you have questions, me? I think he said, I expect you have questions. Does he? Expect or suspect? Anyway, it's basically the same thing. And I can't believe she just did that to me. How do you and Solas get along? This was one thing... I did think it was interesting that Flemeth was not Elven, despite being the carrier of Mythal, but I think Mythal didn't care, but what she sensed was a need in a woman for a vengeance. You know what I mean? How did this all happen? Let's start with that.
So, there's the soul of an elven god inside you. How does that even happen?
Mythal's last host was my mother, Flemeth.
Oh.
When I learned she intended me to become the next receptacle of an ancient god's soul, I feared naught would be left of my own. It inevitably came to pass on a deep night. I was awakened by the presence of a blaze of magic in the shape of a woman who both was and was not my mother.
Yeah. That would have been really... They had so much left unsaid between them, you know? Also, I was thinking, okay, so, like, Solas... Oh, my thing, I think, was that Solas, if you romance him with your Inquisitor, right? Solas falling in love again, despite having all of these regrets associated with some sort of love, you know? So, like, loving Mythal and her not listening to him, and him being unable to do anything, or not able to do enough to change things, right? Like, it's extra tragic that he falls in love again, and once again, he wants to, like... I don't know where I was gonna go with that one. Hopefully I edit this out. It's gonna be wild. But yeah, I think it's just gonna be extra super tragic. I had a thought earlier of, like, and I've lost half of it, where it's like it must be terrifying for him to have fallen in love again, and he's so worried. That's what it is. He's so worried he's going to mess up again, being in love, and that's why he keeps, you know, pushing to finish this. Not only because of what happened in the past and the things he wants to undo, but that he fears if he strays from his path, from his chosen path again for love, like, it'll just be mistake after mistake again. Ugh. Oh. I mean, I think I was gonna be like, sounds terrifying, but we are Mournwatch, so the presence of the spirit-like entity would be interesting.
Wow. You woke up to a god floating over you.
'Twas a state between dream and wakefulness where strange things may happen to the spirit. Mythal's memories were both gift and burden, this blazing woman told me, but I must accept them of my own accord. The decision was paralyzing. What would it mean to become such a host? What would be lost if I refused?
Right.
In the end, 'twas something in my mother's voice which guided me.
What was that?
Regret. Not the regret of a god, but of a mother who knew she would never see me again. And so, my mind remains my own. What I gained was knowledge, both Mythal's and of those who bore her.
Oh, it's gonna make me cry. I say that a lot, but, like, wow. And regret again. Like, this is what I think is the crux of Solas right now, is regret, not righteous indignation or justice or anything. It's just regret, and it's just these long-lived entities. All they do is live long enough to acquire so much regret. And Morrigon's whole big thing has always been, like, the accumulation of knowledge, of lost knowledge, or esoteric knowledge specifically. And so the idea of letting Mythal just fade away or inhabit somebody else or something is just, like, to her it would be a loss, like a catastrophic loss of knowledge, right? And again, Mythal's not who she was exactly anymore, you know, by any stretch of the imagination. And those who bore her, so I'm thinking I think it's got to be Andraste. I think Andraste's got to be in the lineup somewhere, and that somehow maybe the voice of the Maker was like the voice that Andraste was hearing in song, and it was singing, right? And Lyrium sings, the Titan blood sings. Something in the song, or something in whoever created the spirits and then humans, that called to her, maybe? I don't know. That's all. That's super supposition. That's pretty. That's a ways to come, if it's gonna come at all.
How can you carry Mythal's soul if you're not an elf?
Her spark has sheltered within both elves and humans who were sympathetic to her in thought and circumstance. Mythal's last host was a woman wronged, trapped by those sworn to love her. We may readily imagine their kinship.
This, I think, we know Mythal actually did. Mythal / Flemeth did help the elves in some instances and did try, but like, I think Rook would be like, why didn't she do more, you know, or something, or. This is one of the honestly rare instances, which surprised me how infrequently it occurred, that I picked the wrong response. I thought I would have gone for a Morn watch, because I kind of seemed to change my mind, where it's like, oh yeah, I would want to ask the question, like, it feels very elven. But then I kind of seemed to like speak like I was like, oh, well, what about this? And so I went for the Morn watch option, and then I liked it so much that I kept it in this video. But to be fair, the actual playthrough technically is the other one where she asks, you know, where was she? Which I don't have memorized for what happens, but maybe find a video where that conversation pops up, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, in this one, we did go with the Morn watch option, which was interesting, and I quite enjoyed hearing that response that Morrigon gives. But yeah, the original is a bit more, the one that I'd chosen, the one where why didn't she help more? Because the Inquisitor, I had my Inquisitor ask something like that in Inquisition as well, when she meets Flemeth and figures out that Flemeth is Mythal, sort of, you know, or at least houses her. So it's a bit more of a regretful answer, and it's a good one. I just can't remember the specifics. So yeah, anyway, we'll stick with this one for now, because I wasn't going to go back and redo it for a third time.
Oh, of course. Well, there's no reason you couldn't move from elven to human with spiritual transposition.
I wondered if my circumstances might seem less mysterious for an elven watcher of the dead.
It's still rare. I should be taking notes.
Odd question, but hey.
You would have met Solas in the Inquisition, right?
I did indeed. 'Twas before I possessed Mythal's memories. At the time, I thought Solas a scowling elven apostate whose sole passion was finding arguments.
Like you?
He heard me, in all my ignorance, expound on the histories of the elven people, explaining legends he had witnessed himself.
Bet he loved that.
'Tis not a memory that brings me pride.
I think Morrigon's not above admitting that, but at the same time, like, she didn't know, you know, she had what she had learned, that she had found through, like, esoteric means, and, like, thought she had found the deep lore, and it turns out she just found the propaganda of a large civilization, you know?
Do you have information we can use against Gillenane or Elganon? Or Solas?
The last time Mythal faced Elganon and Gillenane, she was struck down by the very dagger you now carry.
This is a storied dagger!
What about Solas?
You may recall he murdered Mythal's former host to claim her godly might as his own. I hoard no untapped magical secrets, Rook. What I do possess, I share freely with you and the Veil Jumpers.
All right.
I think you potentially have more. The thing is, too, as Subby brings this up, I'm having so many moments here. Mythal or Flemeth, Morrigon, now their names are all going to get mixed up. Morrigon could have potentially drunk from the Well of Sorrows. In my game, technically, the Inquisitor drank from the Well of Sorrows, because I didn't see, like, why a human should drink from the well, which was at Mythal's temple, like Mythal's Well of Sorrows, if there was an elf there to do it instead. You know what I mean? So my Inquisitor drank from it, but theoretically Morrigon could have had the knowledge of Mythal's Well of Sorrows, which like didn't have all the answers, obviously, and it was difficult to parse, especially for the Inquisitor potentially. Like Morrigon kept saying she'd be able to get more out of it, but because she knew more, and she wanted the knowledge. Like Morrigon's, like I understand it, she's very driven for secrets. Like she's very dearth of money, I guess, but very driven so that it might not be lost is the thing. So I've always respected that for her, is that she's very driven in finding lost and fading lore and magics so that it will not fade away. And her mother was like that too, and I think it's probably because of Mythal's influence, like for Flemeth, and then it moved, like she passed that on just regularly to her daughter, you know?
You didn't come out here just to tell me you're Mythal.
I am not Mythal in her entirety, but yes, the Dreadwolf has occasion to visit you in dreams, where he portions out advice. And now, after finding his memories, you have peered into his deepest sorrows. Tell me then, what do you make of Solas?
Go. Yeah.
I should ask you. Mythal knew Solas better than anyone.
I would influence your answer. Or do you mean to discover if I would stand directly against the Dread Wolf were there a need?
Would you?
I shall aid you in any way but that, even had I the power. What has passed between Solas and Mythal? I beg you, do not ask this of me again.
No, I like that a lot. Honestly, that makes a lot of sense. Morrigon has grown wiser, you know, and I think more tempered, which is fine. But I think she's still a Spitfire when she wants to be. But in this, like, there's just too much there. There's too much history, and Mythal knows that she has like betrayed Solas essentially 3 times, you know. And I think whatever's left of her doesn't want to do it again, and I don't blame her at all. What do I think of Solas? Ooh, he's torn but doesn't know it. Self-pitying monster is fair, but I'm not gonna go with that. Trapped, I feel sorry for him. I think of him as trapped. I don't know. He is trapped right now, but like trapped within himself maybe, kind of too. Or trapped within the past. Trapped within the past, maybe. He's trying to help. He is trying to help, but he is also, and this is in part for the elves and the mistakes he's made, and in part to assuage his own guilt. You know, he's not a saint. I think he's torn but doesn't know it is maybe a good one. Either that or trapped.
Solas talks a lot about what has to be done, being forced to make hard choices, but it's like he's trying to talk himself into it. I think, deep down, he doesn't entirely believe what he's saying.
'Tis exactly like the old wolf to tie himself into the most intricate knots. 'Tis not malice which made Solas your opponent, but conviction, a belief that only he may halt what he set in motion. Yet Solas was once beloved of Mythal. 'Tis his very loyalty and love for his people that led to the tragedy we now face.
Exactly.
You may be in a position to determine how it ends, more so than either of you might realize.
I feel like that I'm making, like, as I make conversational decisions throughout the game, that like potentially it is affecting the ending, and I'm like, you know, it's making me. Maybe this can end okay. That feels a little too on the nose. Meh. Yeah, no.
Well, that's not terrifying at all.
You have been thrust into the
what I
lives
thought.
of gods. Fate will have its way, whether or without our permission.
Even more comforting, Morrigan.
If you would shape the outcome of your battle, I've one last secret to share. When Mythal was struck down by the other gods, it was with her own lyrium dagger, the dagger you now carry. Solas recovered it from Elganon, and from it extracted a fragment of Mythal that had lain hidden within its depths. This fragment a younger sister to the one I carry, if you will, resides here, in the crossroads. I can open the way for you. Find her, survive the encounter,
She's
and
a
the
dragon.
essence you obtain will aid you in times to come.
Oh my gosh. It's like Flemeth, again, challenging me to fight the dragon to see if I was worthy of it, essentially. Yeah, survive the encounter day. Okay, wait, so, I mean, we knew that the gods embedded themselves in their things, but I thought, okay, so is the dagger, is this a dagger that Solas made for Mythal, and it is Mythal's dagger, or is it Solas' dagger that he made, and then Mythal made another one? I think it's all the same one. I'm looking at it in the mirror right now. Like, I can see it hanging on the wall. I was calling my sister, and I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, this thing over here. At first I was like, oh, you know, an artifact that, like, made the veil, you know? I was like, it's hanging on my wall. It's crazy. But then, like, today, after I found out what it did to the Titans, and I'm like, look at this murder weapon hanging on my wall. You know what I mean? I was like, oh my gosh. She was like, I know. And I was like, ah. But, golly. Yeah, the Flemeth Mythal had us, challenged us to fight a dragon to help us in the final encounter for Corypheus. And we had to fight the dragon down to half health, and then it was willing, like, once we proved ourselves, like our strength of character, conviction, or whatever, the dragon decided to come help us, so.
Another fragment of Mythal?
Yeah, this is also like,
to the one inside you?
Like, there's a whoa.
You are
like,
aware of what the word fragment means, are you not? One small piece of many, formed when something greater is
How
broken.
many are there?
The first elves were spirits, as you well know, and when a spirit is broken, it may shatter into pieces, each holding part
Thank you
of
for
the
that.
original. Among the ancient elves who became known as gods, Dirthaman and his brother, Falondine, are but one example.
Was I not just reading these? And I was like, oh, this may or may not be important. About how they didn't want to be separated ever. Oh my gosh. I was really hoping we'd get more lore on the other elves, on the other ancient elven gods, whatever. So Dirthaman and his brother, they are the same entity and were torn apart at some point, but Dirthaman found his way back to Falondin. At least according to the story, it seemed like Falondin went into death and Dirthaman could not follow, but then found his way to Falondin, and they proceeded to, like, live at the edge, I think, of the beyond or whatever, and, like, forget, one carried secrets and one carried death, but kindly. One carried kindly death. Survived the, what?
All of that sounded great until survived the encounter.
You know Solas, and have seen Elganon, and memories of Mythal. They are creatures of emotion, as all spirits are. The fragment of Mythal that resides in me lived among mortals for thousands of years. She has grown wiser and more patient. This younger sister has not. She is the essence of Mythal as a god. She is unlikely to listen to polite requests, and though she is but a fragment of the goddess, the battle will test you sorely.
She's just going to attack us. Why tell us about her at all? We have enough enemies already.
A fragment of a god's essence is a powerful thing. It may give you options against Elganon and Gelanain, or against the Dread Wolf himself, should he prove as cunning and treacherous as ever.
Like, of course you're going to want to do that, right? But I'm like, ooh, the implications of this, where it's like, I don't know, like, she'll come out as the goddess, not as the human, or as the one that has been around for thousands of years amongst humans and elves. And she's going to be potentially just fresh from that fall, you know? You're not going to...
You would know this aspect of Mythal better than anyone. Could you try talking to her?
I dare say she would attack me on sight.
Spirits can't get along with fragments of each other.
Spirits, certainly, but the aspects of a self-righteous god who have walked different paths for ages? One bears the insult of her betrayal by the Evanuris, and then by Solas, as fresh wounds, insult upon injury. The other once fell in love with an Alamari chieftain and lived happily in a swamp for centuries. Each reminds the other that another path existed, that they could have been wrong, and nothing angers Mythal like being wrong.
Interesting. Oh my gosh, yes. And did you hear that? Fell in love with an Alamari chieftain? She was definitely Andraste at some point. Oh my gosh. And Flemeth was the one who lived in a bog for centuries and was quite content there. I mean, after everything that happened to Flemeth. And Flemeth, I don't think Flemeth fell in love with an Alamari chieftain. No, she didn't. Yeah, that was a different story. Yep. I'm telling you guys.
What kind of spirit was Mythal before she became an elf? I know Solas is elven for pride.
Mythal enjoyed ruling and having power, but it came not from the overweening desire to crush resistance, as is the case with Elganon. The emotion that inspired her might best be described as benevolence, a guiding hand, inclined to kindness. But like any spirit, when angered or twisted against her purpose, a more violent aspect arose. Where the Dreadwolf's wisdom gave way to pride when the world did not meet his standards, Mythal's benevolence gave way to retribution. After all, when kindness fails, the guilty must be punished.
Dude, I love the logic, honestly, because I was thinking something like vengeance, but retribution is a good one. Oh my gosh. I mean, we've already had a vengeance spirit, so, you know.
If I were to try to talk with her, do you have any suggestions?
She will demand respect, but detest flattery. She appreciates righteous anger, but will not tolerate pity. She is, for want of better phrasing, prickly. But if you are determined to try, then I wish you luck.
I mean, I'll try.
Thank you for the information, Morrigon.
There is one more thing.
Another one?
If I may. Something whispered not by myself, but Mythal. The elves have learned many of the glories and horrors of ancient Elvenon. Yet your people live in this world now as the old elves never could. Know it as they could not. There is your strength. 'Tis why you shall surpass what came before one day.
Did Mythal see this? Is it a prediction?
A hope from a mother to her distant children, no less beloved than any before them.
Oh my gosh. Well, and coming from a woman who was a spirit that was denied the love of her creator, you know what I mean? That's really intense. It's like Mythal is I think that must have been a defining trait of hers, is that no matter whatever children or descendants that she had or that those like her had or whatever, she was going to love every single one of them, regardless of whoever or whatever they were. You know what I mean? And I think that is really meaningful, because the love of a parent should not be conditional, right? And for her to have somehow been created or made or existed with a parent that deemed her less because she couldn't do what it had not created her to do, you know what I mean? And found her wanting by no fault of her own to love every child that comes after is really, that feels like that means something, you know? I cannot hate Mythal by any stretch. Interesting. Dropping Gaul and hearing Mythal and Morrigon sort of mixed, and hearing how they would describe him, right? I think I chose well. That he seems torn but doesn't quite seem like he believes in what he's saying. I don't know. I do think my rook is maybe being a bit too sympathetic towards him. She hasn't spoken with him enough, I feel, but she's seen many of his memories. And maybe it's just the fact that she's seen him at his worst, too. where like he is afraid or he is regretful or angry, you know, like, and but then he also sees, you know, all these notes and things of people who came here to be safe and like, you know what I mean? Like, I think she recognizes him for a complicated person and just misguided and needs to be shown, as Morrigon just said with Mythal, right? Is that like these two aspects of Mythal shows her that shows Mythal that there's two different paths her life could take, and they could both be right or wrong. You know what I mean? Like you don't know, but there's at least two different paths you could take, and like but she doesn't like being wrong, you know. And so like seeing those two options means that at one point at one of them she was wrong or something, you know. That's how she would see it, maybe, right? And she doesn't like that. Nobody likes being wrong, you know. It's like, oh, Solas doesn't like being wrong. Nobody does. Sorry for the abrupt cutoff there, but the video was getting a little bit long. Thank you all for joining me. I appreciate it. Really quick, I want to say thank you to my patrons, to all my patrons, including my Acorn tier patrons. Thank you so much, Vane and Leo, for your support. I very much appreciate it. And I want to give an extra special shout out to my Sapling tier patrons, Reese Galito and Sebastian James. Thank you guys so much for your support. I super appreciate it. Like, truly, thank you so much. And I want to give an extra special shout out to my Forest tier patrons, Christopher. Thank you so much for your support. As always, I appreciate it. And thank you so much, Nightshade, for your support. I also appreciate you so much as well. How many times can a person say appreciate? But truly, I mean it very much, especially in these crazy times. So thank you all so much again, and I hope to see you in the next one.